FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Now, we're also familiar with Franklin's achievements and to thinking of him as an almost godlike figure, certainly if you come from America, that it is easy to forget that Franklin was a man who had practically no formal education and came from what was then a provincial backwater. At the time he began his scientific experiments, he was a journeyman printer in a far-off colony who had a talent for coining amusing aphorisms, and that was about it. He needed the Royal Society to give him confidence and stature, and that it most assuredly did. Without the Royal Society, the Benjamin Franklin who has come down through history could scarcely have existed. Interestingly, by the way, the one scientific thing Franklin didn't do, it now seems, was the one thing he is most famous for, where I come from, namely flying a kite in a thunderstorm to prove that lightning was indeed electrical. It is a story still lovingly repeated in almost every American schoolbook. I mentioned it myself in my introduction to Seeing Further, which is why I mention it again now here. It appears, in fact, that Franklin didn't actually fly a kite into a thunderstorm and never actually claimed to have done so, at least not exactly. His report to the Royal Society merely described how such an experiment might be carried out. The idea, as you will remember, was that Franklin flew a kite in a storm and that dangling from the string near the end of his kite was a key in a glass jar. The kite attracted an electrical charge which traveled down the string to the key and made it rattle in the jar. Or so we were taught in school when I was a boy. It was important for purposes of the experiment somehow that Franklin and the key be undercover and dry, and so the kite was flown out a window. The thing is, you can't fly a kite out a window. You just can't do it. It's nearly impossible to get it launched, and then if you did manage to get it launched, it's all but impossible to control and maneuver. More to the point, if the string connecting the kite to the key did attract a bolt of lightning, anyone foolish enough to be grounded to it at the earth end would receive a positively enormous and almost certainly lethal jolt. The key in its jar wouldn't tinkle gaily like a bell above a shop doorway, but would essentially explode like a stick of dynamite. Since Franklin understood the physics of lightning well enough to invent the lightning rod, it's pretty nearly certain that he wouldn't have been rash enough to hold on to any length of string that was in danger of conducting an extremely robust charge of energy from a storm cloud to his arm. Now here's the thing. It was Franklin's standing as a scientist that made him greatly admired in France. And it was because of this admiration that the French were prepared to receive him as an important visitor and listen sympathetically to his appeal for financial support for the American cause during the American War of Independence. Without that support, the American colonies could never have sustained and eventually prevailed in a lengthy war. So we may actually say that it is thanks to the Royal Society in some tangential but absolutely crucial sense that America gained its independence from Britain, for which I would like to say thank you.